Okay, so this video must be the one that has been sitting on my to record list for the longest amount of time. But I'm glad that I didn't record it earlier because now I have like more data and more like I experienced the communities better, so I have a better understanding of how they work. So here I'm gonna talk about video game communities, specific video game communities, and kind of rank them because tier lists dominate YouTube nowadays. So anyway, I really enjoy sci-fi stuff like Star Trek and Blade Runner. Those gotta be on my top, at least top 5 sci-fi franchises. I can also think about Interstellar right now, but Interstellar has a problem, which I need to rewatch that because, well, I watched that only once and I really enjoyed the movie, but like last year I decided to rewatch the Dark Knight trilogy and I really hated that, and I really enjoyed those movies. And since Interstellar was made by the same guy, there is a chance that if I rewatch it, I'll just hate it. But anyway, the first time that I watched it, I really liked that. What else do I like? I like the Alien franchise, the Predator franchise, and my mind is completely blank. But anyway, I really like sci-fi stuff, and with games is not different. I remember when I was a teenager, there was this Battlestar Galactica video game. Oh, also Battlestar Galactica. I really like that one. I still didn't finish the TV show though, but still. When I was a teenager, there was this Battlestar Galactica game that I really liked. It was a MMO, and you could choose sides. You could choose the robot sides, the robot side, or the human side, and then you would fight other players, and you could also fight non-player controlled enemies. It was a really good game. I don't think it exists anymore because a couple of years ago, like 10 years ago, MMOs were made and died really fast. Like there was MMOs being made and reaching end of service like every week. But anyway, with games it's not different. I really enjoyed sci-fi games. I just find it kind of hard to find them. So I tried a couple of them. I tried No Man's Sky. I played that for a couple hours. It's an interesting game, but at least for me, it does not really scratch the itch that I have. It's just exploration. At least when I played the game, it was just exploration. You would just fly around systems, and then you would go down into planets and analyze the life forms of those planets, if there was any. There was a main goal, which was to reach the center of the galaxy, and while you was going for the center of the galaxy, you would be studying planets and their life forms to get credits so you could upgrade your systems. But it was just not for me, because like when I played, again, I don't know how the game is now, but when I played, it was just exploration and nothing else. There was kind of a combat system, but it was like on foot combat system. There was no ships combat system. So I didn't play much of it. Then then I found out about Elite Dangerous. I tried to play that again. Not again, also, but nowadays, that type of game just is not for me. Like, Elite Dangerous is it's a game that things take too long to happen, and also it depends on servers. So if they close the servers, you will just not be able to keep playing. And it's also the reason why I can't play games like GTA Online and any game that heavily relies on online features. Like, I can still play Monster Hunter because Monster Hunter is cool. There is a online part of it, but you can still play it single player. The same goes for Payday. Payday has a online part of it, and there is a offline part of it. So if they decided to like, actually I don't know if there is anything they can do with Payday because it's peer-to-peer, but like I don't know the extent of the peer-to-peer. So I don't know if like there is like a server, because I know GTA Online has a server, because your progression is saved on Rockstar servers. I don't know if the same happens with Payday, but anyway, I tried Elite Dangerous, but it's just not for me. I tried Rebel Galaxy, which is a really cool game. It's an RPG, a space RPG. There is kind of a economics behind it, but it's not really that deep. And then I finally found out the X franchise, which is it's what I was searching for. That's the best way I can put it. It's a space simulator for nerds. So Elite Dangerous, any person can play Elite Dangerous because it's a very easy to understand game. And the main focus of the game does not go that deep. It's like you have some stuff that you can do, like you can try to find criminals and defeat them to get the bounty for killing them. You can kind of do trades, so you can get a ship to carry goods, and then you can just like buy it at a low price and resell it at a high price. You can also explore, just like on No Man's Sky. The difference being that you don't go down to the planets. You just map the system and not what's inside the planets. So it's a very easy to understand game. And I saw an analogy comparing Elite Dangerous and X, which I think it's true, like at least for me. So Elite Dangerous is a game that is massive. It's like it extends itself for kilometers, but it just goes down a few centimeters deep. That's how Elite Dangerous is. Meanwhile, X does not extend that much. It's just like a couple meters, but it goes down. It goes down like at 100 kilometers deep. So Elite Dangerous, there is more stuff for you to do. There is more places for you to go. There is more things for you to see. But the game just does not go that deep. Like the systems, the gameplay elements is just very shallow. Meanwhile, on X, there ain't much places for you to go. But the things you can do go very deep. Like the systems, the gameplay elements go very deep. Like the trading systems, you can just like, if you want to, you can fully automate factories, and you can fully automate ships that will buy and sell goods. The same for the combat. If you want to, you can engage in combat yourself, which is what I do, because I really like the combat system. But you can also make fleets and then just send those fleets to complete missions for yourself. And there is a lot of different types of ships. There is one that I really like it. It's a transport ship that you can use to transport other ships. I don't remember the names, but it's this big ship that you can put. I think it was 4 or 5 fighter ships inside of it, and I really liked that. So what I would do on with that ship was that I would put the 4 fighter ships inside of it, and then when I wanted to do the combat, when I wanted to fight other ships, I would get inside one of those fighters, and then launch that fighter out of the bigger ship hangar, and the other 3 fighter ships would follow me. And that was really cool to do. I really liked doing that. So on X, you can do a lot of stuff. And if you just get tired of one aspect of the game, there is like at least 10 other stuff that you can do, which is very different from No Man's Sky, because No Man's Sky is just exploration. On X, there is exploration, there is trading, there is combat, there is different types of missions for those. Like you can find missions like on the trading side. You can just buy goods yourself and then resell it, or you can get missions where an NPC will ask you to buy something for them. Like they can ask you to buy energy cells, and then your task will be to find a place that sell energy cells for the lowest price, because then when you resell those energy cells to the NPC, you will get a higher profit. For combat, there is different types of combat missions. You can just like fly around and try to find pirates and then find them, or you can get missions to find a specific pirate, and the game will give you a hint like, oh, this pirate was seen for the last time around this sector, so you can just go there and try to find the pirate. There are missions to protect a specific station. Like, let's say there is a factory and someone's gonna attack that factory, so there will be a mission for you to accept to protect that factory. So there is a bunch of stuff for you to do. So if you get tired of something, you can just do something else. It is a really cool game, but this video is not to talk about X, the game. It's to talk about X, the community, the player base. And so far, out of every game that I ever played, the X player base is like the best. I just hope to not get proven wrong, but so far, based on the amount of interactions that I had with this specific player base, it's the best. There is no other way to put this out. And as I said, I just hope to not get proven wrong, because that happened with Monster Hunter, and that's like one of the reasons that I'm happy that I took so much time to actually record this, because if I recorded this when I first started playing X, I would come here and say that the Monster Hunter franchise is also like, it's almost the same as X, but then I interacted more with that and I realized that's not really the case. But anyway, we'll get back to Monster Hunter in a couple minutes. So X, I have some ideas of what could make this player base the best, and I would like to like kind of discuss those. So first of all, these games are really old. There is X4 Foundations, which is a newer game, but still, I think it was released on 2018, like 2015, I don't know, something like that. So it's not even like that recent on internet terms. Like on internet terms, a game released last year is already old. So anyway, the first game, when was it released? Like 2000? Okay, so I just did a quick search. The first game was released on 1999. So they are very old games. And I think that's like, that helps the player base to be chill. Because if you interact with X player base, you're gonna see that most of them are dads. Most of them are already fathers and they have kids. Like, I was talking to this guy, like at the very beginning of my journey, when I like started playing X, and the conversations had to be put on hold a couple times because he had to check on his kids. So you can see that that's not a rare thing to find. Like, a bunch of people that play X started playing that back in the day when the games actually got released. So they already have families. They already got married. They already got divorced. They have kids. So they are kind of a more mature audience. And I kind of think that helps the player base to be chill, to like be welcome to new players. And also there is the factor of the games being quite hard to understand. Actually, that's like a totally different point. But anyway, so closing the door, there was where I was talking about the player base being dads. There is the fact that the game is quite hard to understand. Like, I'm gonna do another video where I actually talk about the games and how I recommend people to play those, especially the old ones. But if you start the games through, let's say, the wrong place, you're gonna have a harder time, because some games, they will assume that you played the previous ones. This happens with Albion Prelude, this happens with Terran Conflict, and this kind of happens on Fairhand's Legacy. So those games will assume that you played the previous ones, and they will be built on top of the previous ones. So each game will add new features, and they will explain the new features, not the old ones, because the old ones were explained on the previous games, you know? I'm not sure if I was able to actually make it clear, but let's say there is the games 1, 2, and 3. the first game, the game 1, will explain everything because everything is new. Then when you go to the second game, it will explain just the new things that they implemented. And everything that it inherited from the first game will not be explained again, because the game will assume that you played the first game. And the same for the third game. There is kind of a correct order to play because of that. Like, there is an order that I would recommend people, newcomers, to play those games, so they have a better understanding of it. But anyway, even if you play in the correct order, it can be a bit hard to understand how those games work, because those systems are really complex. Especially the trading systems for the first and second game. Well, not the first, the second one, because I didn't actually play the first one. But anyway, that being said, like, that's an element that I think that will also help the player base to be more welcome. And also, another point is that it's not that famous. Like, when someone thinks of a spatial simulator, they will not go to X, even though there is X4 Foundations, which I guess we can say it was the most successful game. Like, it's the game that most people think of and that most people will be playing. Even though there is X4, there are a lot of other games that are more famous than X. Like, as I said, No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, those have a very higher player base in comparison to X. So it's quite hard for new players to join the X franchise, which again may help, like, may kind of shift the player base to be more welcome to new players, because they don't want new players to drop the game. They want the new players to keep engaging with that, to make the community bigger. Like, instead of having 10 people playing those games, they want at least 11 different players. So, like, I guess those are the things that help this community to be so welcome. Again, I really hope to not have to come back here and say that this community disappointed me, because, like, I interacted with it, but I can't really say that I interacted that much to, like, I didn't interacted for enough time for the flaws to show up, which is what happened with Monster Hunter. When I first played Monster Hunter, I really thought the community was welcoming. And there is a joke on Monster Hunter, which is that the player base will only argue with each other when it comes down to the waifus and the husbandos. So the games have a lot of characters, and people will choose their favorite characters. And that's, like, for people that are not how do I say this? For people that don't know what a waifu is, it's basically your favorite female character of a piece of media. And the name waifu comes from wife. It's just waifu because of how Japanese people will pronounce the word wife. So it kind of sounds like waifu. And that's like the idea of it. It's your favorite character. It's a character that it's your favorite female character, and a character that you would be down to start a relationship with if that character was real. And the host bundle is the same but for male characters. So on Monster Hunter there is this joke that the player base will only argue with each other when it comes to the waifu, when it comes to your favorite characters. Because each person will have a different favorite character based on their own personality. So that's when the player base will fight each other, which I figured out to not be true. There is a lot of infighting in that community, like favorite monsters. Monster Hunter has a lot of monsters, and because of that, like every monster will work in a different way, and because of that, people will choose a monster to be their favorite. The issue is that some people do not understand that you having a favorite monster does not mean that you hate every other monster. So let's say I have a favorite monster. Let's say my favorite monster is X. So I go to the community and I say I really love X. X is my favorite monster. There is a greater than 0 chance that someone will come up and will say like something like, how can X be your favorite monster if there is Y, and Y is a better monster than X, and if X is your favorite monster, that means that Y is not your favorite monster, which means that you hate Y. And how can you hate Y if Y is my favorite monster? And because of that, I hate you. That's how the Monster Hunter community works when it comes down to favorite monsters. And the same happens with favorite games. I guess there must be like something between 10 to 20 different Monster Hunter games. And the same thing happens with that. Like if you say that A is your favorite game, there is a chance someone will come up and say, how can A be your favorite game? And if A is your favorite game, B is not your favorite game, which means you hate B. And how can you hate B if B is my favorite game? And because of that, I hate you. So when I understood that, Monster Hunter got sent way down into my list of favorite communities and like more welcoming communities. There is a chance you will never see that. Like if your favorite monster is like the favorite monster of the majority of the player base, you will not go through that. But if your favorite monster is like a random one that most people don't enjoy, like Kazu, I see a lot of hate for my boy Kazu. You're gonna have trouble with that community. And the same for games. Like if you come up to the Monster Hunter community and you say like, oh, my favorite game is Monster Hunter World, you're not gonna have any problem, because that's the game where most people started playing Monster Hunter, and that's gonna be their favorite game. But if you say something like an obscure game that most people hate, like there is some games with underwater combat, and a lot of people really dislike underwater combat. So if you say you like that, yeah, people are gonna want your head on a stick. But anyway, my second favorite community, I guess it's like Devil May Cry. which I started playing a couple months ago, but also it's kind of on the same place as X. I still didn't engaged with the Devil May Cry community that much. I can say that it's better than Monster Hunter. Because you can actually criticize the games and the characters without the risk of someone getting offended by it. I'm not sure like the reasons, but there is like Devil May Cry 2. Most people completely despise that game, but you can still say that you played it and you had fun with it. The same happens with Devil May Cry 5. That was the first game for a lot of people, so a lot of people will have that as their favorite Devil May Cry game. But you can still criticize that game, which again does not happen with Monster Hunter. But still, I need to like interact more with that to actually see if that's true, or if just like I just didn't interact with the community enough to see its flaws. Somewhere between Devil May Cry and Monster Hunter, I guess there is Payday, which is kind of chill. There is kind of some toxicity on Payday, which my best guess is that it's because Payday is a shooter, and most shooter games will have a toxic player base. I don't really like that word, but toxic, but I guess like I feel like it's being overused, but for the lack of a better one, we'll just go with toxic. And the biggest issue with the Payday community is with mods. I talked about this on one of the videos, but it's basically every mod that you could install on your game is considered a cheat. There will be like someone, doesn't matter if the mod changes like nothing on the gameplay, like it can be like cosmetic mod, it's just gonna change the appearance of a character. There will be someone that will show up and call you a cheater for using mods, because every mod is a cheat, even if it does not give you advantages. I actually saw once there was a mod that made the game harder, and even though it made the game harder, there was people that showed up to complain about the mod and to say that using that mod was cheating on the game, because you was playing the game in a way that the developers did not intended the game to be played. I go into a deeper dive on that on my Payday videos. There is one called Payday's War on Mods is Still Funny. That's the title of the video, because I don't want to extend myself too much on this one. But that's the idea. And then, which I promised that I would talk about on my Silent Hill video. And then there is the worst of the worst, which is the Silent Hill community. Oh, also, another element that I think that makes the X community more welcoming to new players is that there is no lore to the game. Like, there is some pieces of lore, there is like some ideas, but there is nothing that deep on the story of the games, and the games are more like just the gameplay. It's just like the systems, it's just like the trading systems, it's just like the combat systems, and there is not a big story to it. And even games that have a story, like X2, the threat, most people will consider the story just as a tutorial, because you're not gonna spend that much time on the story. It's like you're gonna play the story and then you're gonna focus on the rest of the elements that the game has to offer, which is the sandbox, which is like you flying around and doing whatever makes you happy, like maybe engaging in combat, maybe building factories and creating an empire, or whatever. And since there is no lore to it, there is nothing for you to really overanalyze, which is not the case for Silent Hill. Silent Hill, again, also is a very old franchise. Like, the second game was released on 2001. So the player base had, so far, they had about 20 years of time to overanalyze the franchise and to analyze the games. And differently from X, Silent Hill is highly dependent on the story. Like, the gameplay aspect is not that deep. It's just walk around, hit some monsters, and solve puzzles. That's all there is to the gameplay. And the main focus of Silent Hill is the story. So people will overanalyze that to unhealthy levels. At least I consider to be unhealthy. And that's gonna be an issue for new players, because if you just came up to a game, if you just came up to the franchise, you don't know much about the story, right? Let's say you just played Silent Hill 2 because of the new movie. You just watched the new movie, you got interested in the franchise, and then you decided to play the game, to like see how the story actually is, right? So you play the game one time and you try to put things together on your own, but you will only get so far on your own. Like, if you don't search for things, or if you don't search for the meaning of stuff. And the problem is, when you first go to the community to discuss your ideas, like, oh, I just played the game and I think this happens because of this, this, and that. A lot of people, it's not gonna be someone, it's a lot of people will come up and just like shout at you on how wrong you are on your analysis, because, well, you may think of that, like, you may think that this element is true, but you're not taking into account this one guide that was only released on Japan and that never got a proper translation, and there is like only 5 copies of it in the entire world. And in this specific guide, they will say that you are wrong. They will say that, oh, this thing that you think is true is actually false. And I feel like that does more harm than good to the community. And again, there is like some absurd stuff, like there is the circumcision breakdown. So I didn't got that deep into that because I saw that it was just too much for me, but there is a game that some people decided to make a theory that the game it's a analogy to circumcision. So the main character got a circumcision, got a forced circumcision, like he was a kid and his parents got the kid to a doctor to do the circumcision. So like the kid didn't chose that, so that's why it's a forced circumcision. And this theory says that the monsters are based on this idea, and everything that you go through on the game has some relation to the forced circumcision that the main character went through, which is just insane. And it's like one of the things that makes the Silent Hill player base, at least to me, to be really trash. And I also forgot to mention this on the video about Silent Hill, but this is also the reason why I didn't search it for reviews for that movie, because I searched for, but I looked at the titles, like for the new movie that just came out, Return to Silent Hill. I searched on YouTube like Return to Silent Hill reviews, and then I just looked at the titles and the thumbnails, and every single one was just like, "Ooh, the new movie gets Silent Hill completely wrong," or like everything wrong on the new movie, or I don't know, just like that type of thing, which comes from the player base overly analyzing stuff, which, as I said, makes more harm than good. And it does not exist on X. So, like, just to wrap things up, and go back to X and why I think it's the best video game player base, at least so far. Like, maybe if I engage more with the community, I will find that it's not like the case. But anyway, so it's old games, and the player base is already have families and already have kids, so they are kind of chill about new players. There is not enough players, like the player base is very small, so the veterans will try to like be welcoming to new players, because they don't want the franchise to actually die, and they want new people to keep coming to the game. There is no deep lore to the game, so there isn't really anything for them to overanalyze. There is the systems, which you can kind of overanalyze, but the player base will try to min-max the game. Most people will try to minimize their efforts to maximize their profits. So overanalyzing the systems is not really a problem, because everyone that goes to X will try to min-max things. They will try to like, they will think like, okay, so what's the minimum effort that I need to put into this specific thing for me to get like the maximum amount of profits. So over analyzing the systems is not an issue. There is no waifus, there is no husbandos, and the games are kind of easy to like rank which is better, like which of the games are better, like X3 Albion Prelude, X3 Terran Conflict, and X3 Faham's Legacy. Those three are really easy to rank. It's just like the new one is gonna be better than the old one, because all three of them were built on top of the previous game. So the new one will be, the third game released will be better than the second game released, which is gonna be better than the first game released. Which is like differently from Monster Hunter, which each game kind of works in a different way. The idea is the same, but the systems work in different ways. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's the those are like the elements, at least the elements that I can think of, that kind of contributes for the player base to be welcoming to new players. But yeah, that's about it. If you want to play a space simulation game and and you don't get scared by complex systems, you can try like X. I am gonna record some videos about like which games I recommend for people to start from. But just for you to not have to wait, there is X4 Foundations, which is the newer game. I heard that it's a good place to start, but I didn't play that one. I couldn't make it run. And if you are not able to make it run, or you want to like go to the older games, I recommend starting with X2 The Threat. Because X2 The Threat, it has it's mostly because of tutorials. So X2 The Threat has tutorials, have proper tutorials for you to like understand the game. So you won't have to look outside of the game to understand the game. You will open the game, and then on the main menu there will be a section for tutorials, and in there will be like flight tutorials, combat tutorials, there will be factory management tutorials, which is like basically everything you need to play the game. There is the story elements, but I don't think that's really an issue. X2 The Threat continues the story of X, oh god, I forgot the actual name of the game, but X2 The Threat continues the story of the first X game, which is not really an issue because there is a time skip between those two games. So you can totally understand the X2 The Threat story without having played the first X game. But anyway, after that, I recommend you going to X3, Terran Conflict, then X3 Albion Prelude, and then for last X3 Farham's Legacy. And I recommend doing that because those three games were built on top of they were built on top of the previous one. I don't recommend you start from them because they don't have actual tutorials. So like and my recommendation is just to play the story for you to like have a understanding of the systems. Like X2 The Threat. Play that for you understand the idea of the franchise, but just play the story. There is no need for you to like continue playing the game. Like you finish the story and then you just jump for the next game, which is Terran Conflict. You play the story of that, so you can understand the new systems they introduced, and then you jump for Albion Prelude. Again, you play the story for you to understand the new systems, and then you jump for Farham's Legacy. And Farham's Legacy is like the most complete game out of the old ones. Well, out of the old ones that I played. And this one is the one that I recommend you to stay. Like you can play the story and then just keep yourself on that game. Like being the game that you will play for like hundreds of hours. That's like my recommendation, and the like main reasons for it. If you can run X4 Foundations, I guess go for it. Because I heard good stuff about that game. It's just that I didn't play it myself, so I can't really recommend that. The same goes for the first X game and X3 Reunion. These two games specifically will have a problem, which is that you cannot change ships. So you are locked at one ship, one spaceship, and you cannot like, you yourself cannot like leave one ship and enter another, which it's kind of a problem to me. But anyway, this video is getting long, so that's like what I wanted to talk about this video game community.